unfamiliar path with a pulse of its own.
3, 2, 1.
Final Encounter Cast. Interesting conflicts, not conflicts of interest.
Typical corporate bullshit.
With your hosts, Nate, Robbie, Chris, Nika, and Callie. FinalEncounterCast.com.
Ready? Get set? Go!
What's up? Welcome to Final Encountercast. Thanks for joining us live here at twitch.tv/Limit Break Radio, starting at 1 p.m. in the afternoons at our new time. Thank you guys so much for joining us, all 96 of you right here at the top of the show. We've got an exciting show for you today, including... Man, we're going to talk about some GameStop drama.
Oh, good.
No.
But the thing is that on hand we have two former GameStop employees, myself as well as Nika.
Mm-hmm.
Oh my God, Nika, you're so loud. Oh my God, I can hear you so clearly.
I know. So, by the way, I just wanted to mention that we have changed up some of the software that we use to do this show. We're no longer using Skype to be able to connect to Nika. We are now using a program called Zoom that you can find at zoom.us. And I love you. So far, I've got to say, I am super impressed by the little bit that we've been using it here today. So,
you know what I've noticed? So Callie is obviously in fat seat, right? And I'm sitting here looking at the camera. That is not very flattering. Is it the camera, not Fat himself?
It might. I mean, it very well might be the angle. We were struggling with getting the angle right before starting the show.
Hey.
Now you got to make them all. Now you got to make them all self-conscious and shit.
Right, I don't have a picture on my screen of what I look like, so I'm super nervous now.
Wow.
I mean, he's not wrong.
Hey, come on now.
The camera adds 10 pounds. It's okay. You're fine.
Or did you bring the 10 pounds with you? Anyway, welcome to the show. Thanks for joining us. We've got a lot to talk about because, I mean, there's actually been a fair amount of news that's been going on the past week. And then stay tuned because I've got an update on my health. So we're going to talk about that a little bit later on today. So because we had talked about that the last time. Mm-hmm. Well, the doctor did call back.
Acid reflux or AIDS.
Right. Yeah.
Oh,
sorry, HIV.
We're gonna play that age-old game. Is it acid reflux or AIDS? We're gonna have the answer for you, but you gotta stay tuned.
Exciting episode.
I know, right?
What lifelong disease do I have?
Well, yeah, you're not wrong. Anyway, yeah, we'll talk about that coming up a little bit later on here today. But of course, we're going to start off, as we always do, checking out what's going on with the news.
I'm here to do the news tonight.
And that's the way the news goes.
Ladies and gentlemen, we interrupt this program to bring you important news.
Here's a story that's out of this world.
All right, guys. Well, to start off, a host on a local podcast has announced he will begin dieting immediately after this episode. In other news, this is sad. Namco founder Masaya Nakamura sadly passed away this past week at the age of 91. He helped found Bandai Namco in 1955 and was known as the Father of Pac-Man, one of the originals.
You know, I didn't want to say anything, but I'd just like to point out that the last thing that I remember him actually being involved in was an Adam Sandler movie.
Yeah, he was in that. He was calling to Pac-Man, right?
Not saying that had anything to do with it.
That was him?
But
at 91? Get the fuck out of here.
Yeah, because he's like, you are my son.
Like, you are my son.
The father of Pac-Man. Yeah.
I think it really was him.
I don't know, man.
What a rough way to go. Maybe the movie killed him.
I mean, he did get eaten by Pac-Man in the trailer, didn't he?
Guys, he hung out in the same place as Adam Sandler. Come on.
I think you get cancer for that.
Yeah. Like, not just like because that's what happens, but it's like that's what you deserve.
Well, it doesn't have listed what he died of, but I'm going to assume
he died
being
of
91.
Pac-Man
91.
Being ingested by Pac-Man.
PETA sent an open letter to Games Workshop this week looking for them to...
Oh, wait, what?
Good.
I don't even want to hear the rest of the story.
Oh, good.
Well, don't worry, I don't want to read it, but guess what? That's my job. They sent an open letter to Games Workshop this week looking for them to ban their characters from wearing fur in Warhammer 40k. What? The letter read, quote, "These battle-hardened warriors are known for their martial prowess, but wearing the skins of dead animals doesn't take any skill."
Oh, my God.
So should they be wearing the skins
it's made out of ones and zeros.
Should they be wearing the skins of their dead enemies instead?
Well, let's just go back.
That's okay, because that's not an animal.
It's a miniatures game. It's all made of resin/lead/pewter. Come on, guys.
I can't. Look.
Oh, like the actual physical...
Yeah, the physical miniatures game, Warhammer 40k.
PETA.
Wow.
PETA. There's this little bit of wisdom that exists out there called choose your fucking battles.
I don't know. I think I see where they're coming from, because then you get these dirty cosplayers like Nika who want to be comic accurate, so that they go out and they slaughter poor little foxes and minks for their cosplays.
No one cosplays Warhammer 40k, and if you do, you're a loser.
I tried. Sorry,
All
PETA.
7 Warhammer 40k cosplayers are really mad at you.
How you guys doing? How you guys doing since Games Workshop kicked you out for playing the original version of the game? How's that treating you?
I've seen some pretty impressive Warhammer cosplays in my time.
Yeah?
Yeah, some of those like
because they're made of real fur.
Well, not but some of the powered armor from like the other
the futuristic setting?
Yeah.
That's way better. The fantasy setting, it's all right.
Yeah.
Final Fantasy's 30th anniversary has come and gone, which means an event from Square-Enix and a host of announcements. First up, a release date for episode Gladio in Final Fantasy XV, which will be March 28th. Woo. They will also be releasing a $700 bottle of wine.
Oh my God, Square-Enix!
But it's also got like a crystal Swarovski crystal glass.
Stop! No,
Nika,
don't justify it. It's $700.
I mean, yeah. How much of that is the wine, and how much of it is the glasses that come with
$700.
You know, if it wasn't for that wine, maybe we could have got episode Gladios February 28th.
Oh, man,
this is
going back to the well.
Dude,
I will never stop this crusade.
Dude, just stop. Look, Square Enix needs to, like, just take off the Ed Hardy clothes.
Maybe it's really good wine.
No.
You don't know?
No.
Have you tried it? No.
I mean... I hate to say this, but we need Skuro to let us know.
No! Don't justify his stupid pseudo-complex by being a wine concierge. All he drinks...
Connoisseur?
Whatever. All he drinks is Car Bordeaux, all right? I've seen it.
Listen, okay. This makes me wonder if Square Enix has, like, a vape room.
No, I like what Felici just said. This is why FF15 took 10 years. They had to wait for the wine to mature. I like it. I'm down. That's my headcanon now.
Oh my God.
In addition, they've announced that Distant Worlds will be resuming nationwide touring, and Final Fantasy XII's remake is dropping on July the 11th. So check out our blog post for a full list of the announcements, because there was a bunch more of them that were not important enough to put in here.
They haven't actually announced the tour dates for Distant Worlds yet.
Not yet.
I've been watching the Facebook page like a hawk, and I have seen nothing.
They haven't announced the cities. They haven't announced the dates. Nothing. But it is going to be a thing.
You cannot gloss over the villain pack of cup noodles.
I certainly can, and I did.
I'm sorry, but Games Workshop is a parasite when it comes to their product.
That's correct.
I'm siding with PETA, and I for some strange reason don't feel dirty about it. This story is killing me. Send help.
Well, you're wrong.
No, this is the hardest thing. I hate PETA, but I hate Games Workshop more. They're both awful.
Fine. They can both be awful, but I'm just like the thing is I think that not to go back to one story ago, but I think that PETA ends up undercutting their point, like message, their honest message of like trying to do what they can for animals by going after dumb shit like this.
Or the Tanuki suit.
Yeah, look, PETA does do some good work. I'm not saying that they don't. It's just when they do dumb shit like this, it makes me go, that's why people fucking hate you.
I hope they don't see my Moogle slippers. They might be all over that.
Made from real Moogle.
Yep.
But that's why people hate them. That's why people hate PETA, is because they do really, really retarded shit like this all the time.
Mm-hmm. Famitsu got an interview with Final Fantasy VII Remake producer Yoshinori Kitase about the progress of the game. To say he's keeping the details under wraps would be saying the least of it, but from the sound of it, the game is a very, very long way to go. They're hoping to have a playable demo during an event this year, but like when they were interviewing him, he was talking about still working on the sections that like were shown in the video. Like, they're still working on that.
That doesn't surprise me in the least.
I heard in another interview where he said the same thing. They hope to have a working demo at some point, or at least another video.
Oh, my God. It's so slow.
That doesn't surprise me in the least.
Remember when we were supposed to be getting episode 1 in January?
Lol.
Look, man, Kingdom Hearts, dude. Kingdom Hearts 3. That's all I got to say. Anything that Nomura touches, it just turns to shit, it seems like.
Or at least delayed.
Yeah, like it turns to shit until somebody else ends up coming in and is like, okay, here's how we can get this done.
Let's stop doing drugs and prostitutes and let's make a game, guys.
Oh, the Sonic Team strategy, cocaine and hookers.
I honestly, what does he do with his time? Like, he should be making a game. Like, he's at the helm of 2 of them. And, like, you're not making progress on either one? What are you waiting for exactly? Anything? Nothing?
Nothing. No. He's doing nothing. That's the issue. Nintendo announced a profit of $570 million last quarter off the back of a strong holiday season with titles such as Pokemon Sun and Moon coming out. The Wii U predictably was brutalized, moving only 760,000 units, the worst holiday season in the system's history. In addition, Nintendo has announced that their Animal Crossing mobile game is going to be delayed until April at the earliest. The new release window would put it somewhere between April and March of next year.
You could have said 760 units, and I'd have been like, oh, I feel like that's kind of forgiving a number.
You'd have believed that it's just 760.
I absolutely would have. Yeah.
I 760,000. Even I was like, that's more than I would have guessed.
But that is so brutal.
Yeah, it's so bad
to have only ever moved 760,000.
No, that's what they moved in the holiday season.
Oh, that's what they moved in the holiday. Okay.
Yeah, like that's like for this holiday season.
760,000 people bought the Wii U.
This holiday season.
Holiday season?
Okay, that's way higher.
Way higher than I would have thought.
That makes no sense because the Switch has been announced and it's coming out soon. Why this holiday season would you buy a Wii U?
I have no idea. I mean, this was
literally negative sense.
This was the worst holiday season in system history, but
that's because they just announced the new console. So why is anybody buying a Wii?
Because these are all like parents and grandparents like, oh, gotta get them that new system coming out.
But I mean, like, the 3DS was really difficult to find, and that was a big surprise. I'm actually more interested to know how many units of the 3DS got moved over the holidays.
Well, because people are buying the 2DS now, which is literally a 3DS but without the 3D function.
Which nobody uses anyway.
I kind of want that, yeah.
It's fair, that's fair, except it doesn't fold in half, so it's just this, like, it's huge.
Yeah.
Wait, it doesn't fold, so it's like
no, it's
Game
a
Boy
big
Advance?
rectangle, it's bulky. You know, it's big, it's like...
It's
big.
So
I saw it on sale for $70 yesterday.
That doesn't surprise me because it's a piece of shit. But take a Nintendo 3DS, right, and then click the screen back so it's like all the way back, right?
Yeah.
That's exactly how big.
You can't even put that in your pocket.
Nope.
That's awful.
It's horrendous. I hate that system.
Like it's really just for children.
It really is. Yeah. It's pretty much.
But that's really the reason why a parent might not want the 3D because it even says it's bad for kids' eyes. So really, the only real people buying it are parents.
Yeah, and I feel like they made it a little bit more like you can clean jelly off of it a little bit easier. You know what I mean?
I don't like where this is going.
But like when you have kids, they smear things on it, and you got to like wash the system. I think it's a little bit more.
It is
designed to be friendly like that. So
okay. Razer is making a move into the mobile market as they've acquired NextBit and their cloud phone Robin. Which had anyone ever heard of Robin before this? The phone?
Nope.
No.
Oh, good. It wasn't just
Robin the phone.
The phone. The phone titled Robin.
Look, he didn't do well as a sidekick. He's not going to do well as a phone.
It was a cloud phone, yeah. So while they do not plan to continue producing the current generation Robin, they will continue providing security updates and patches through 2018 if you have one. If you're one of the apparently 6 people. Some features for the next major PlayStation 4 system software update have been revealed, and among them we have external hard drive support.
That is so Excellent.
Yes,
Just
finally.
just last week when I brought Resident Evil 7, Nate had to delete stuff off his hard drive to download the day one update.
That's correct.
Oh my god, that was so frustrating. But the thing is that like it should have had external hard drive support from the get-go.
From day one. Yeah, all these systems should. It's so weird when one doesn't.
Yeah.
In addition, we'll be seeing custom wallpapers, another quick menu update, a simplified notifications list, and support for 3D Blu-rays on PSVR.
Cool.
3D Blu-rays are a thing?
Yeah. Yeah, pretty much.
Yeah, all right.
So now you can do those on PSVR. So that's cool. Resident Evil 7's first DLC expansion is out, titled Banned Footage Volume 1. The DLC includes 3 new scenarios, including an Escape the Room mode, a survival mode, and the highly difficult Ethan Must Die mode. The DLC is included with the Season Pass or is standalone at $10.
Now,
I played the regular game, and it felt like Ethan Must Die mode.
Now,
that's because you suck.
Yeah.
I've actually heard that the Escape the Room puzzle is probably one of the best Resident Evil puzzles in a long time.
I've heard that
it's
going
supposed
on
to be
too.
super good.
But now, Robbie, you've actually been playing Resident Evil and actually a little bit on the stream.
Yep.
So what are your thoughts on it? I mean, and also playing it with the VR, that must be a way different experience.
Yes, I've only gotten about 3-4 hours into it. You know, I'm doing it every Friday, and I want to be able to do it all on stream. But yeah, first of all, it's the first Resident Evil I've ever played, so it's hard for me to be able to compare it to previous Resident Evils.
Okay.
But when I'm trying to do like where you have like the object and you have to like rotate it a certain way
Make it fit the shadow?
To fit the shadow, yeah, everyone's like, oh, this idiot, he's obviously never played a Resident Evil before.
I don't think that was a big thing in like maybe in I didn't play 6, but I played 1 through 5. Like
yeah, I mean, I feel like other than that, I haven't really came across too many puzzles. Beside, hey, you want to go through this scorpion door? Find the scorpion key.
That's very traditional Resident Evil.
Yeah.
Find the club key.
Oh, I mean, just the little bit that when you had brought it over that we played here, I was so impressed by the game design, the dynamic fights that end up happening in that.
It does have a lot of positives. I mean, in VR, gosh, every once in a while I had to like take the helmet off. I told people on stream, it's like, hey, I just want to be able to talk with you guys a little bit after each section, but really I just need to get the fuck out of there.
So now, but okay, so is it mostly like, is it just jump scares that get you, or is it
No,
is
there's
it
actually,
with the VR, like is it that same sort of feeling that you would get going into like a dark, like possibly haunted house? I don't know if you ever did that as a kid.
Yeah. No, there's not very many jump scares. I mean, there were a few, and there was one in particular that got me really good. Oh my fuck. People know what I'm talking about. But it's more this sense of dread just everywhere you go, because you don't know when something's going to come out. Okay?
Sure, yeah.
And something that I told the stream, too, that I think Resident Evil does a lot better than Outlast. And Outlast, you couldn't really fight back. You just ran. And when you can just run, that becomes your primary strategy. When you know there's a monster up here, I just got to run by him.
Yeah, you know what the strategy is.
Yeah, the sense of dread, the scariness, it all goes away, and it basically just becomes a speed run. But when you know you can fight back, there's this extra layer, because now you know, all right, this is how I kill them, but I only have so many bullets. Do I want to kill them? Do I want to run away? When are they going to come out? I jumped at my shadow once. That happened.
I mean, ammo conservation has always been a pretty big aspect to the Resident Evil games.
Oh God, yeah.
Something that they've actually been praised for, even when, you know, like other aspects of the game have been heavily criticized. They still do very well at that, and again, I think that it's totally on display here. But I think the way that the fights, some of the big boss battles end up changing, was the thing that I was so impressed with. And yeah, man, I've got to think that VR just takes that to a whole nother level.
I actually felt like in that first boss fight, like I myself was trying to figure out how does this work, instead of just being like, all right, here's a boss fight, and you just start, trying to deal as much damage as you can.
What's been so impressive to me about Resident Evil 7 is that it's the first game in the series to be first person instead of third person, and yet it really captures the feelings that the first 1, 2, 3 and Code Veronica all kind of had. It has that kind of not clunky, but kind of slow, methodical pace that your character moves at unless you're running and turns at. The moments I think that kind of freak me out the most is when you do shoot, like when you're trying to run away, and it's hard to tell just how close it is on your tail, so you're like scrambling to get like a door open or something like that. Those are the moments that like freak me out the most. Overall, though, yeah, I've now seen all the way to the end of the game, and I've played through the fight with Mama, and oh my God, it is so good.
Can I just say, like, even in the opening chapter, right? Like the chapter that I had watched, I think Callie, you were playing it. That even in that opening chapter, because a lot of those elements were from the demo, and I had played the demo, that even still, when you got to that part that like straight up references the Blair Witch, that still even freaked me out. That still even like left me with a bit of unease because it was executed so well. And I gotta hand it, they really made something very impressive here. And so I think that's going to be one of the things that we're going to see, because the games industry is a very much follow the leader sort of industry, where if somebody does something well like that, other games are going to come along and try to figure out, okay, well, where's the coding there, and they're going to try to replicate it. And so I'm going to be very interested to see how this ends up impacting and affecting boss fights moving forward.
EA's earnings call brought us some information on new releases. The company's CEO says fans have demanded more depth from Battlefront 2 than was present in 1, and that's what they're going to get. The sequel will have multiple game modes, a single-player campaign, and content from multiple Star Wars eras. Titanfall 2 also sold less copies than expected, but was still profitable, and strong reviews should keep sales high on it for a while. Meanwhile, Battlefield 1 was a massive success and is expected to become the best-selling Battlefield game of all time. Its first expansion, They Shall Not Pass, is due out in March.
So first of all, like, I gotta say, like, I've been super into Star Wars lately.
Yeah,
like,
absolutely.
ever since I saw Rogue One, sorry.
So good.
Rogue One. It really like reignited my interest in the universe, the Star Wars universe. And so I actually just finished the fucking Clone Wars. Like, I did the whole series on Netflix. I was surprised that I got through it. I was actually, when I got to the final episode, I was like, oh shit, I'm done.
I'm done. Have you started Rebels now, or is that what's next in the canon, or?
Yes. I do believe that is what's next. Oh no, man, I lost Nika for some reason.
Oh, that's weird.
Yeah.
Damn it, Nika.
But yeah, I was super impressed by that show, and nice to see that they're going to be, doubling their efforts with oh geez, that's a noise.
What noise was that?
That was
Windows
10. Is that your computer?
That was probably okay.
That wasn't me.
I wouldn't worry about it. But yeah, no, it's nice to see that they're going to be actually
putting some effort.
Yeah,
2.
exactly.
God, Battlefront 1 is such a frustrating experience. I hate getting a game where like you look at it and you're like, well, what you have is really good. There's not nearly enough of it. Like it shows me that you are capable of making what I want. But there's not enough of it.
Especially
You
with
pushed
that
it out too
price
quickly.
point that it started out with.
Like this is one of those games where like, look, it's frustrating for everyone when there's a delay. Like, we get that. It is totally frustrating. No one wants to hear that their game that they're waiting for has been delayed for a few months. But if what you have is good and you just need to make more of it, delay your game and put it out.
Yeah.
Like, go for it. I don't have a problem. I get worried about delays when it's like, well, what we have is bad. Let's try to salvage it. Like, that's a frightful delay. But if what you have is already good, it's just not substantial enough, do the right thing for your game and make the delay. I'm thrilled to hear that EA is kind of aware of that feedback, that they're not just living with their head in the clouds.
Yeah.
And that they actually have, like, they understand people are pissed about Battlefront 1. Battlefront 2 better have more to it.
Yeah.
Meanwhile, yeah, is anyone else surprised with Battlefront or Battlefield 1 becoming one of the most successful Battlefield games ever?
No, not at all. I
don't think so.
I think it was, I think it's very good.
This was one that was like kind of rough at launch, but once they fixed some of the stupid glitches with it, that game's sweet. Today is, of course, we didn't even mention this. Today is Super Bowl Sunday.
Yeah.
Oh,
I don't know if you know, there's some sports ball going on today. Some two teams, they're pretty decent. They're gonna
Go
play.
teams.
But anyway, that also means that the Madden Bowl happened this weekend with $250,000 in prize money on the line for the best Madden players out there. So our congratulations go out to Dubby, who defeated Problem in the finals with a red zone interception with under 2 minutes to play, followed by a 93-yard touchdown pass for a final score of 24-17.
Wow.
This, I never thought I would get to call the ending of a Madden tournament.
I actually understood everything you said.
Nailed it.
Yes.
You know sports ball.
Woo.
Good old hand egg. More and more mainstream media seems to be picking up on gaming as CBS has announced 2 of its shows, Bull and Elementary, will be featuring gaming-themed episodes this month. Dr. Jason Bull will be helping a pro gamer accused of throwing a match, while Elementary will see Holmes and Watson investigating the murder of a former pro esports athlete who was assaulted while live streaming for fans.
Elementary's so good.
Is it?
It really is.
I only saw the first episode of it, and it kind of put me off.
No, you should watch it.
Does it get better?
It's so good.
All right,
yeah,
I'll watch it.
just watching, and I forget the actor's name, but as Holmes is amazing.
She's great. It's the girl, isn't it?
No. She plays Watson.
Oh, she's Watson.
Yeah.
I thought she was Holmes.
Nope.
Maybe that's why I didn't understand what was going on.
Because I've seen the actor who plays Holmes in a few other things, and I wasn't super keen on him. But him as Holmes, especially compared, because obviously we have a lot of really great Sherlock Holmes recently. In popular culture. I mean, you have Benedict Cumberbatch.
Sherlock.
You have Robert Downey Jr. And can't believe I'm forgetting the guy's name right now. But I mean, Nika watches Elementary too, and he really nails it.
Yeah, Sherlock is... Did you see season 4, by the way?
Not yet.
Oh
Shush, no spoilers.
How am I supposed to not have spoilers? Like, it's been like a month. Get on it, dude.
Oh, a month. It's not on Netflix yet, is it?
I think it is, isn't it?
Oh, I don't know. I
watched it on cable. I don't know.
Yeah.
The Zelda-esque game Oceanhorn has been... the Zelda-esque RPG game Oceanhorn has been confirmed for Switch later this year. FDG Entertainment hinted it would be coming to a Nintendo console during an announcement of over 1 million copies sold, and it was confirmed over Twitter that the system would be the Switch. So I don't think anyone was that surprised that it was the Switch.
Yeah, no, this actually was a pleasant surprise considering how barren the Switch lineup is right now.
Yeah.
I have Oceanhorn on Steam. I played a little bit of it, haven't gotten a lot into it, but what I've seen so far, I really like it. It's very, very, yes, Zelda-ish. That's a very, very, very good compromise, especially from like the 64 days, the Ocarina of Time specifically. The only thing that I kind of I'm worried about is I'd like to see more variety. You know, I mean, we're getting Breath of the Wild.
Sure.
Is anyone really gonna, need an itch for
Do you
Zelda?
need Oceanhorn?
Yeah.
Okay,
That's kind of the way that I'm looking at it.
Well, this one is scheduled, I think, out a little bit later in the year, so maybe after the Breath of the Wild hype has settled down a bit. But this game's already been out for a while. It's sold 1 million copies, so it already has the cachet. The long-going legal dispute over the Oculus between ZeniMax and Facebook has finally come to an end. While courts found that Oculus did not misappropriate trade secrets from Facebook, they did not misappropriate trade secrets from ZeniMax. They did find that Palmer Luckey was in violation of a non-disclosure agreement he signed with ZeniMax, and they were awarded $500 million.
$500 million.
Guys, do you know how much Game of War you could play with that?
Well, you could probably get to first place.
Yeah, I probably. But I mean, like, dude, that's insane. $500 million.
Yeah.
That's a hefty chunk of change.
From like a single dude, not like a company, right? Like the dude has to pay that.
I don't think Palmer Luckey specifically. I think Facebook's going to have to shell that out
okay.
because what they got from Palmer Luckey was stuff for the Oculus, which they own.
Right.
So I'm pretty sure Facebook's going to be on the hook to shell that one out.
Yeah.
Lucky Palmer.
Yeah. Not that they don't have the money. Another sad news story. Jiansheng Chen, a 60-year-old Virginia man, was fatally shot by a security guard while playing Pokemon Go this week.
Oh my God, I heard about this.
Yep. Chen was sitting in his minivan playing the game when a security guard started yelling at him and eventually emptied between 5 and 10 shots through the front windshield, killing him.
He wasn't even like out walking around. He was just in his car?
He was in his car.
His minivan.
Yeah, this was on a bunch of Pokemon Go Facebook groups I'm in, and everybody's just in outrage over
that
this.
Is ridiculous.
Absolutely ridiculous.
Oh yeah, that's insane.
Apparently, like, the individual doesn't like speak English, so he wasn't like able to like interact with the security guard who was yelling at him, and yeah, the guy shot him.
Dude,
it's fucked up.
Well, I mean, shit, it was bound to happen. I mean, I hate to be that cynical, but it's like.
But I also heard that this guy has like had has talked with the authorities before. Like, English isn't a strong language for him, and he's actually had run-ins with the police before because he's like an old man that can't speak English, and they should know that he's not dangerous and unarmed because that's just who he is. He's like an old guy that walks around playing Pokemon. Like, they should know that. So it's really, really weird.
Well, I mean, he's sitting in his van. He lives in the neighborhood that the security guard is supposed to be protecting, and yeah, he gets killed for playing Pokemon Go. That's sweet. Mm-hmm. Awesome.
I'm just saying, like, it was bound to happen. Like, someone was bound to be shot while out playing Pokemon Go.
There have been tons and tons of Pokemon Go accidents. Till now.
Yeah.
But just sitting in your car.
There have been accidents where people like walk out in front of a car. But I mean, for a police officer to like see someone in a car on his phone and just shoot him, that seems really weird.
It's super weird. It's fucked up.
Yeah, I think the point Nate's trying to make is I don't think him having playing Pokemon Go was really the catalyst of it. He just happened to be playing Pokemon Go.
Yeah.
Devolver Digital will be, as always, hosting its event just outside of GDC this year. They've reached out to developers who cannot attend GDC due to the flux of the Muslim ban in the United States to help show off their games in the absence of the developers. Insomniac Games CEO Ted Price also spoke out against the ban this week in a strongly worded video.
Good.
But yeah, I think this is super cool of Devolver, basically saying if the ban has made it so you can't come show off your game, get in touch with us and we'll display it for you.
We'll make sure your game gets showed off.
Yeah, I like that a lot. Devolver's a really cool indie dev. I've seen. I can't remember what have they done.
I just had it listed too.
Did you really?
Yeah, I was just like looking at it a moment ago. It is.
How is it not like off the top? I could have named their logo. I could have described their logo off the top of my head. They did Serious Sam among.
Serious Sam. Really?
Yeah, they did Serious Sam. Hotline Miami.
There you go. That was the one I was.
That was the one. I was trying to think of that one.
I didn't know they did Serious Sam. Well, that's fucking cool.
Yeah.
The new FCC chairman, Ajit Pai, has struck a major blow against net neutrality as they ended their investigation into companies' quote-unquote free data plans, which sets precedent for being able to charge more for better internet. They've also ended an ongoing investigation into stations who have failed to properly disclose political ad information.
The dream's dead, guys.
Dude, the
net
new
neutrality is done.
Sucks.
Oh yeah, this guy is it's not one of the good ones.
If you're super into net neutrality, buckle up because it's going away.
Yeah. Subscribe to the Electronic Frontier Foundation, the EFF. They do good work, and they'll be able to give you all of the latest updates about net neutrality status, what this guy plans on doing, and what he has done. EFF is the place to go. But yeah, this is. And what do you do? Like. There's really not a whole lot you can do on that one except to
angrily write the FCC and protest.
That's pretty much it.
So get out there and protest because this sucks.
Yeah.
In an interview with Trey Parker and Matt Stone, they explained that they'll be backing off on jokes about Donald Trump because, quote, satire has become reality. They found difficulty last season keeping up with real life events when what was actually going on was way crazier and funnier than anything they could possibly come up with.
Oh man.
I kind of feel
legit.
For him.
That's legit. I mean, it definitely
when
is,
real life one up South Park.
Right? Yeah. You couldn't even write this. What do you do? And this is, by the way, these are the same two guys that were responsible for an entire satire show about George W. Bush. That was that. Do you guys remember that? That's My Bush.
Yeah, I do remember that.
Yeah.
Oh my God.
Which they promptly, Comedy Central promptly yanked that one after 9/11. That was one of the first. That was one of the first after 9/11. They were like, yeah, we can't. There's no way we're going to be able to get away with that anymore.
Yep. They're the ones who put up with death threats over making jokes about Muhammad.
Yeah. And they're like, this shit's too crazy for us, man. We dropped acid at like award ceremonies, and like this is too fucking.
Do you remember
nuts for us?
Do you remember the first episode of South Park after 9/11? Do you remember the opening shot of it?
I don't.
It was the episode Osama bin Laden has farty pants, which is not a great episode by any means, except that in that episode, literally the opening shot is the four boys standing out, but they all have gas masks on now, and they're all in like protective tactical gear because their parents are terrified to send them to school.
Oh man.
And literally the opening line is, well, this sucks. Remember when everything was fun?
Yeah.
And I'm like they don't care normally. It's so weird to see them be like, what are we supposed to do with this?
And I can like the last like 2 or 3 comedy specials I've seen have been like comedians are even struggling to make sense of this shit.
Right. Like every comedian looks at it like, I can go up there, but there's nothing I can say that's better than what is actually happening.
Like, Bill Burr just put out a new Netflix special, and I am the biggest Bill Burr fan.
I love Bill Burr. He's so funny.
I love Bill Burr. I'm sort of split 50-50 on this new special.
Really?
Some of it did not, and I've watched it twice. I'll give things 2 or 3 times, like, as giving it a shot. I don't think this one did it for me. I think
when
this one
comedy becomes the news.
I think that this was almost a miss. He saves it at the end. There's one really, really good story at the end that really he ends very strong. But yeah, I think like the first third of it, I was just like, I'm not sure. I don't know. But I'll tell you who has had a really good special. My favorite special that I've seen, maybe in the last 6 or 8 months, was the Neil Brennan 3 Mics special. It's currently on Netflix. That's one of the best specials I've seen.
Neil Brennan?
Neil Brennan, yeah. Dave Chappelle's old writer from
Chappelle Show.
From Chappelle Show.
Yeah, I remember. Really? I don't think I've ever seen him perform before.
That's because he's sort of like reinventing his career, and he kind of talks about it. So the premise is he's got 3 mics, because like one is for stand up, one is for like serious shit, and then the other is for one-liners. And he kind of like moves between these 3 different mics the entire show.
Neat.
It's a great premise. It rides the line right in between a one-man show and a comedy act. It's great. I fucking love it.
I'll have to check that out.
Yeah.
Hu Yifan, a Chinese grandmaster at chess, threw her final match in a recent mixed tournament. She entered the mixed tournament in the hopes of being paired against men who make up the entirety of chess's top 100 ranking, and was upset to be paired against women throughout most of the tournament. She outpaces the second-ranked female player in the world by a full 68 points, and in a show of protest, threw her final match by losing in 5 turns.
Wow.
Whoa.
This is... super cool. I actually love this. I think that is such a great protest move. Is just like, I can, like, she's literally saying like, I'm better than any other female player in the world right now by a wide margin, and I came to this tournament in the hopes of pairing up against people who are in the top 100.
I love those like little displays of like, this is how little fuck I give.
Yeah,
I love that.
That's exactly it. And does anyone else think it's weird that chess isn't already a mixed sport?
That, I think, is what surprises me the most out of this.
Yeah.
That's bizarre. And I mean, like, we talked to Stephanie Harvey about this, where it's like, there's no reason to have a gender division in something where your brain is your primary muscle. That's not a gender
thing.
thing.
Men are afraid of being beat by girls because they're smarter than we are. In most cases. Nika's not, but in most cases.
You know what? I am going to say that, you know what? You're probably not wrong. That's probably an ego thing.
Definitely. Yeah. Like, is it a coincidence that the chess's top 100 are all men? Hell no. It's not a coincidence. It's set that way.
No. Let's hope that Ho Yifan sets a new precedent.
I think it's a super important thing, and we talk about esports being on the fringe of becoming it already is becoming a major thing.
Yeah.
This is kind of a precedent I'd like to see set. I don't want it to be divided.
Yeah, it seems really silly and archaic.
Yeah. I mean, then again, so is chess, so. Angela Overkill Hill paid tribute to Street Fighter's Sagat character, complete with eye patch, at her weigh-in at UFC 104 this week. She struck the character's pose, and while a lot of people were confused, those who got it cheered loudly. This isn't the first time she's done such a move, as she showed up to last year to an event as Dalsim, complete with the Skulls bracelet and loincloth.
That is hilariously awesome.
That is so cool. I dig it. I think more people should cosplay when they're at their
I think that she should just do more of that.
Yeah, I agree. I want to see her
showing up painted like completely green as like Barack.
No,
Baraka?
You have to love the skin that you're in. You can't paint yourself green.
Oh, you can't do that?
You can't do that.
Did you just say show up painted green like Barack? Did that just come out
That
of your
happened.
mouth?
It
That
did.
did
I was
it.
trying to remember the character's name.
He wanted to say
And
Baraka.
and you
Yeah.
didn't wait. Why didn't either of you two stop him?
I was already on to my next thing, but yeah. he
Shame
wanted to
on
say-
the both of you.
You want to say Baraka, but I think you mean the character from Street Fighter, the guy who comes
Who's
out of
the
the
green
water.
one?
Yeah, the green guy. I don't know
Yeah.
who that. What's his name?
Blanca?
Blanca. Okay. Yeah.
Wow.
So we have Blanca, Baraka, and Barack.
Obama.
Great. Barack Obama.
Just Obama.
That's like a cap. Wait. Street Fighter's not Capcom, is it? Yeah, it is.
Yeah, it is.
Yeah, I'd like to see like in Marvel vs. Capcom now, you can choose between Blanca, Barack Obama, and then for whatever reason, Baraka from Mortal Kombat.
From Mortal
Yeah.
Kombat.
Those three on a team. Yeah.
I want to know what Barack's finisher is.
I don't. I wouldn't even be able to guess.
Anyway, for more information on the news and other stories, visit our blog at finalencountercast.com.
Thank you very much for that, Callie. By the way, finalencountercast.com. Make sure you head on over there and check out our live blog if you want links to any of these stories that we just talked about. Again, finalencountercast.com. So let's talk shit on GameStop.
Yeah, that's what the rest of the episode's about to be.
Is it that time of year again? Time to yell at GameStop?
I guess it is. Who brought this story in?
I found it. Yep.
Floor is yours.
All right. So first of all, a lot of people are probably going to call out if you've worked at GameStop. This isn't a new thing. All right. Nika brought that to our attention, so it is not a new thing. But as far as a lot of these testimonials go, it's been revamped for the holiday season. But GameStop has a program called the Circle of Life.
Oh, that's important. I heard about that in The Lion King. I like that you knew the first like 4 syllables, and then you're like, and we'll mush it from here.
You know what? It sounded pretty legit.
Come on, that was damn close.
It was really good.
Bump it, man. You get props for that.
Thank you.
Heck yeah. All right, so it's no.
I can't believe I held that opening note. I was just.
that was pretty good.
I was waiting for the voice to just go, nope, you're done.
Just smashes.
Yeah, just run straight into a brick wall.
Vomits everywhere for good measure. It's no surprise, obviously, that a big portion of GameStop's profits supposed to come from used games, right? So
And they do come from there.
Yeah. So the whole idea of the Circle of Life is to keep the Circle of Life going. Their whole motto, their whole concept of business is that people should buy games and then sell games and then use that money to buy more games and basically keep the Circle of Life
Which in
going,
practice,
right?
I mean, in theory, makes sense.
Sure. Yeah, that's great. Here's the problem they've been running into as of this holiday season, all right? The Circle of Life gives you 4 main stats that you have to focus on in retail. You have your pre-orders, you have your reward card subscriptions, you have your game trade-ins, and you have selling your pre-owned games, okay? Those are the 4 things that are most important to GameStop. Notice that new games isn't in there.
No, nowhere in that.
Yeah,
list.
Nowhere in there. They don't
Nowhere.
care if you sell new games. unless
Pre-orders.
it's a pre-order.
Pre-orders is really the only the closest that GameStop gets to trying to move new games.
So at the end of the day, your statistics for each of these 4 main things is dependent on your total transactions for the day.
Right.
So the more new games you sell, the more subscriptions that you have to sell. The more used games you have to sell. So it actually benefits you as an employee and as a store in management's eyes to not sell new games.
This job really sucks.
It's the first drop you've used.
No, that's the second.
I know, but the first one was really stupid. I don't know
Yeah, it
why
didn't
he
work
used it in
out.
that place, so we all just ignored him.
Oh,
Yeah.
fair.
So essentially, whenever someone sells a bunch of new games, but they don't do anything else, they get in trouble for it, which leads employees to start lying about stuff. There was one case where Watch Dogs 2 was on sale for $29.99, brand new, but the used game was $54.99. So the employee said that if people came in looking for the game, they told them they were out of stock.
Yeah.
What?
Yep, because they needed to sell the pre-owned one.
Yeah. Here's the thing is that when you have unmoved, unopened inventory, you can return that. You don't have to sell that. You can just return that to the warehouse and it'll just get taken off of your inventory sheet. That's it.
Right, but the things that GameStop buy back are GameStone's own property, GameStop's own property, and then they are stuck with that no matter what.
Exactly, yeah. So, and that's exactly it. Like, if you can't move a used game, that's GameStop taking a loss. It's not a big loss because we all know that their margins on their buybacks are terrible.
That's the thing. Like they talk about the circle of life. Yeah. Sell the game for $60, buy it back for $3, sell it again for $45. Like.
Yeah, and unless you're going in there looking for store credit, you're not getting a deal at all. You're not even getting close to it.
You always get more in store credit. So ideally, I mean, that's a part of it too, that if they ask for store credit, they get $5 to $10 more in certain aspects, and then they were then 100% likely to buy another game.
Now, I can confirm working, for a period of time at GameStop that we were judged on PURs, power up reward cards, and how many subscriptions that we could sell there, and how many renewals that we could get. So that was our first number, and that would end up driving up the other numbers. And you're absolutely right. The things that they care about are the pre-orders, because a lot of times, and I mean, GameStop will never ever talk about this number, but there is a huge margin of people who will pre-order a game and then forget about it. Like they'll never pick it up, and they'll forget about that $5. And after a period of time, that doesn't just get saved on your account forever. It'll just go away. Yeah.
I don't know. When I was working there, I would see people with pre-orders from years and years ago that were still there, and if they remembered it, I could move their pre-order money from one pre-order to another.
I
did it all the time.
I guarantee you it'll go away at some point. Like at some point that offer expires. That's not a lifetime. So that to me, like that's one of GameStop's big ways to be able to move their margin, and it's not dumb. Like you can't fault them for that. Like it's not necessarily the worst strategy, and you've also got to kind of admit that GameStop's core model is being disrupted by the digital marketplaces that Sony and Microsoft and Steam have been able to bring. So they do have to look at their opportunities to sell used games as a better opportunity for them and a bigger margin for them, because that's objectively true.
That's fair. And looking at the whole thing, all right, from like a retail perspective, right? The model that they have going with this whole circle of life thing isn't necessarily a terrible thing, okay? It's the way that management is basically moderating the whole thing, and the trickle-down effect that's causing their employees to act in the way that they do, that's not giving the customer the best experience or the best deals.
Let me tell you a personal story. So I probably have a little bit more of a unique experience because I work I live near Washington, D.C. The shopping mall that's down the street from me is one of the highest tourist-centered shopping malls in the area. So we are, I think, in our region, we're number one in sales. We made the most, gross profit, the most everything was super high, the most sales per day, everything in our region. But our numbers were like second to bottom because we had people from overseas who just wanted to come and buy FIFA and peace out. They didn't want a power-up card. They don't have a GameStop over there. They don't want a reserve. They're not going to be here in 2 weeks. Yep. So they never, ever got any of that stuff. They literally wanted their FIFA and they peaced out. That was 80% of my sales. And because of that, our numbers were so low. And I can tell you, I loved working at GameStop. The people I worked with are fantastic. And I'm still pretty loyal to that GameStop because of my experience there. However, I want to say a month or two after I quit and got my teaching job, the entire staff was laid off and turned over because they were trying to increase numbers. Well, every single person, all the employees, all the managers, everyone were kicked out and reshuffled.
Let me tell you, it creates a very cutthroat environment. That's the first thing, is where you will have people that you work with that will swoop in on sales that, maybe you've been helping them there the entire time, and then they just swoop in, cash them out, and boom, they get the credit for it. That kind of stuff was definitely very frustrating and very disheartening.
Yeah, and the thing is too, though, is that this isn't the first time the GameStop employees have been tempted to lie. I mean, I have a personal experience with an actual coworker I worked with at GameStop who, if somebody came in who didn't want a power-up subscription, he would use his own. for them. Because if they already had a Power Up subscription, it didn't count against you as a transaction where they could buy one.
Oh,
right. So he was collecting the points.
If you ring up a game, whether it's a new game or not, and they don't have a Power Up card associated with it, it's, they could have gotten one, so that's a negative ding.
Right.
So he would just ring up his own card.
Oh, yeah.
And so not only does that seem a little bit skeevy, but he was also then, because of that, receiving all of those people's points for buying things. And so then he was looked at, he was actually stealing customer points, and he was fired.
Mm-hmm.
and to be fair, things like this too, when it comes down to these different statistics, isn't something that's indicative just of GameStop either. This is universal across the retail world.
Oh, God, yeah.
We're one of the better stores in our district too, Nika. We make our plan a lot, but sometimes some of our stats, like our units per transaction or dollars per transaction, aren't up there, right? And through all of January, which is a terrible, terrible month for retail anyway, we were constantly down all over the place. And then when there was one day where we would just like kick ass and like blow plan by like double, if there was one stat, just one out of like the 12 that they track, we'd get like a scolding email. You got to get that one up. You need to work on this.
And here's the thing: is that like, that's, I think, the biggest problem is that GameStop doesn't end up compensating for environmental factors that will end up impacting the data set. Nika, you brought up a great point that you were in an area that got either a lot of foot traffic or they were,
it's foot traffic and tourists from overseas.
Yes, yep, tourists. Yeah. And I worked at a mall and we had some of the same things. We got a lot of foot traffic. It was a very, very small store. And we killed in the holidays, but the rest of the time, it was very anemic.
Right, and because of that, too, the standalone GameStop stores always had better numbers because if you went into GameStop in a standalone store, you were going in with one purpose. That's your GameStop. You're going in purposely to buy a game. You weren't in there to just browse, whatever. Like, it's very different being in a shopping mall and being in a standalone store and then being in an area like where I live. Even still, there's going to be people in standalone stores who are just getting the tourists who are leaving in 2 weeks.
Absolutely.
So a lot of that, it's very different, and they don't take any of that into account. So when I heard that all the managers and everyone I worked with was just like kicked out and they got a whole new staff after 2 months, I was really, really sad because I was hoping to at least be able to go in and still talk to them, see how everything was going. Nothing. Like, I don't know anybody who worked there after just a month or two. And it was
that sucks. That definitely
because our pre-orders and our Power Up cards are so low, even though we sell the most product. It's ridiculous.
Yeah. And that's the thing is that, like companies like this don't really care about the individual factors that affect that. And they never cut employees a break ever.
Oh no.
Yep.
No.
Going back to the Circle of Life program, and I don't know if it was like this when you worked there, Nika, or again, if it's something they've done with the revamp, but not only do stores have their little Circle of Life stores, but they actually keep track of individual employees' performances in the 4 different categories as well. And you basically...
of course, they always
25% towards your score for each one that you hit. If you're not at 75% or 100%, apparently you go on to some type of like warning list, and there are multiple stores and multiple accounts that say if you are at 50% or under for up to 3 weeks at a time, that you could be terminated for that.
That's way harsher than what they had then or what I knew it was, because I know that we aim to like have 3 power-ups a day and like so many 5 to 10 pre-orders a day, something like that, depending on how long your shift was and what time of day, what day you're working. And if you didn't meet that for like an entire week, the manager would like talk to you at what you could do to make sure that you're always saying, "Oh, would you like a card? Let me tell you about what it does." And like how to frame your speech. But like, I've never heard about any kind of warning list. So I don't know if that's a new thing or if maybe it was something we were not told about.
Nope, it's definitely not a new thing because I definitely got put on the warning list.
Oh, really?
Oh, yeah. Well, the thing is that I didn't take my time there seriously at all, and both of the managers knew it. I was cool with one of the managers because one of the managers was like, he was very like, he knew what was up. Like, he knew that the store wasn't doing well, the location wasn't doing well, there wasn't anything that we could do about it, and that the numbers would be what they were. And so he didn't give a shit. And I had another manager who was like the actual manager,
store manager.
Yeah, the actual store manager, and he gave a shit. He gave way too much of a shit, and
as store managers do.
And so he would talk to me, and he would do all those things, and he would be like, he would put me on the warning list, and I'd be like, all right, fine, fire me, man.
But what does that mean? Like, they're going to fire you if you don't improve? Or?
Yeah. And I was like, and the thing is that, like, he threatened me with firing all the time, almost every week, but I didn't care. They were working me 3 hours a week.
Oh, dude.
How are you supposed to have such good numbers when they only give you that much hours? Like
3 hours a week.
By telling people you don't have new games and only selling used games.
And that's what it is like when you, and it's retail all across the country. When you try to mandate these kinds of numbers and not take into account like external factors, people don't say, "Oh, I better make my numbers." They find ways around making their numbers.
Yeah, they cheat. And who can blame? Who can blame them?
Yeah, I cheated when I worked at Laser Quest all the time to make my numbers look better.
Dun dun dun.
All the time, because like here's what it was: you didn't make your numbers. Cool. Now you're on a training plan or something like that to help you get your numbers up. Your numbers still don't go up. You're let go.
Dude, every 2 weeks I was getting a paycheck for $27. Okay, like I could not give half a fuck if I stopped going in. I was basically going in there for fun.
Yeah.
And then I started interning at the radio station that I eventually ended up working at after that. And so I gave even less of a shit. But I couldn't figure out why they didn't just fucking fire me. David, the manager, that's his real name. I probably shouldn't use it, but David hated me. He fucking hated me, and he had was bizarre legs too, like he was
body shaming now.
He was really proud of it. He played soccer, like a lot of soccer, and like he would like lift up his pant leg, and first of all, it would get stuck, like the pant leg would
over
get
like the calf.
Yes, and you'd be like, oh my god, what the fuck? And then you'd get that other half, and you'd be like, oh shit, what did you just do steroids for like 6 years in your calves?
Hulk
and that's
calves?
Yes, it's fucking gross, dude. It was fucking gross. And anyway,
he was proud of it.
Yes, super proud of it. But I couldn't figure out why he didn't just fire me. And then when I went into work one day and they had the whole store like covered up, like under construction, the store closed, like I was like, oh, that's why, because they intended on closing the store, and they told him like, yeah, you can't lose anyone because you're not going to be able to rehire anyone.
Well, not to mention
closing.
No, they didn't even tell me that they were closing.
That was the coup de grace.
Well, that's how I know how much he fucking hated me. Weird story though. Weird story. The other manager, I have a friend who works with him somewhere else, like in some other part of the country, and I forget who it is now. But somebody told me about that, and I was like, oh, no shit, get the fuck out of here. That's crazy.
Not to mention, had he fired you, he would have to do up all the paperwork and shit for that.
That's true.
So it was a lot easier not to.
That's true.
So Kotaku was the one who originally reported this big story. That's where I found it. And yesterday they actually did a follow-up story that was just a bunch of testimonials, right? And this is one of the ones that just blows my mind the most. This is from a former store manager. Said that during the holidays, my staff was so afraid of being fired because of this program. What I did was pass off my transactions to them that would improve their COL score. Well, I took the transactions that would otherwise harm their COL scores. I did it to help ease their minds and the pressure from corporate. I thought I was safe because of my excellent track record with the company, and the overall COL score for the store was above the company average. Unfortunately, they fired me because I was not an effective leader by not leading by example.
Dude.
Oh. Wow.
Dude, you take the risk, and then, I mean, like, that's the thing.
And that's horrible, too, because I know when I worked there, they actually discouraged the managers from being on the register.
Yeah.
They wanted the employees to be on register most of the time, unless it was a slow part of the day and it was just only one employee and one manager working. If there was ever more than one employee on the floor, then the manager was discouraged from using.
Yeah.
That's actually really, really ridiculous.
That's insane. That's totally insane. But I mean, like, it's totally indicative of how disposable employees are to companies this large.
Yep.
I mean, like, that's, like, and the thing is that when you demand better, oh my God, dude, they get so incensed.
Oh, yeah.
It's like you did something wrong, right? Like they cut my hours at work this week. And when they told me how many hours they were going to give me, I said, that's not going to work for me. I need at least 25, at least bare minimum 25 if I'm going to make this work. And, he was like, oh, I've never had a part-timer do this to me before. And it's like, well, get used to it, man. I'm 33 and you're still working me part-time. I've done everything that I can to make myself as useful to you to prove that I'm worthy of full-time. But until you make the extra step to invest in me, man, I'm sorry. I've got to get out of this what I need. And that's at least bare minimum 25 hours a week. If you can't make that work, I can find someplace else that will, or I'll have to find a second job. And if I find a second job, guess where my head is going to have to be 50% of the time. So what is it? What do you want me to do here? Do you want me to do a better job and pay me a livable wage, or do you want me to divide my attention? Because if I got to go get a second job, guess what? I mean, it's not going to be at fucking Subway.
Yeah, and you know what? And with GameStop, a lot of people being like, oh, GameStop, that would be such a cool place to work.
Oh, no.
You can't do that.
I loved working there.
Okay, yes.
No.
Okay, look, in some cases, Nika, yes. I mean, look, where I work is a great place, too. Like, I actually like where I work, and from location to location, it can vary. But I think in most cases, retail is retail hell. Now, if you have good people that you work with, that's cool. But the point that I want to make is there are so many younger gamers out there who haven't had jobs yet who just look at GameStop and think, oh, that would be so cool. So employees can't make those kind of demands at GameStop because there's plenty of people that they can shovel right in along with it.
You're absolutely right.
That's true.
I live that nightmare right now. I work part-time at a board game, at a place that sells board games,
but
Magic
your
cards,
place
comics.
is so cool. I've been there. I would love to work there.
No, you would not.
But that's the thing,
I will absolutely kill you.
Hang on, though. But I worked at a record shop that I absolutely loved when I was in high school. And I did like working there, I didn't like working there all the time, right? Like, there were definitely days where I was like, man, I'm fucking struggling to be able to take this seriously today. You know what I mean? And it's like, a job is going to be a job no matter what. And even if you're working with something that you love, guess what? You're not sitting around and playing video games all day. You're stocking them. You're making sure that they're front facing and that they're organized well.
Yep. You're ringing them up.
You're not interacting with them on the fun level. They expect you to do that outside of your job. By the way, that is an expectation that they don't talk about very much, is that they do expect you to be playing shit outside the job. They've actually got sort of like a rental policy. Like, you can take something home for, I think it's 2 or 3 days, and then you got to bring it back. And they expect, if you're not doing that, they ask you why. Why? What are you playing right now? Did you pick something up? And if you go, yeah, they'll go through your, at least this is what my manager did because he was fucking crazy, but he'd go through my transaction history and go, why didn't you buy it here?
Oh my God.
I shit you not, man.
Wow. No, at my job, I get this all the time. People come in and be like, hey, what can you tell me about this new board game that just released? Nothing. It just released and I don't get to play it here. Why does everyone think I do?
You have to fluff. Actually, that's the reason why I don't think I got the EB Games interview I interviewed for way back, because he said, here's a game. A customer brings this game to you and you don't know anything about it, and they ask you to sell it to them. And I had to just make it up. I mean, and I didn't know what to do. And then they actually had to tell me, look at the back of the case, highlight all the features, and pretend like you know what you're talking about.
I was going to say, just read off the back of stuff, guys.
This was my first job interview ever. So
Final Fantasy XIV, leave quests. But there was actually one testimonial where a worker said that they overheard a coworker straight up lie about the content of a game to get a customer to buy it because they needed to sell used games.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's so dirty.
Yeah,
what's even worse though is when, me especially being so passionate about children, when a mother comes in and tries to buy them a really, really inappropriate game, and I actually tried to persuade them not to buy it, I was barely ever successful in my endeavors.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
That was the worst. How many times I sold Saints Row to this dad and child, because the kid was 8 years old, and the dad he came in to buy Saints Row 3, and I was like, there's smacking prostitutes with dildos, this is not really appropriate. And he's like, yeah, and I've never played it. I just figured this stuff out from talking and reading the back of the box.
Right.
And he's like, yeah, but he's played all the other ones. It's no big deal.
And then he comes back in a week later to yell at you for
No,
selling this game to his child.
he came back in, but he was the kind of person who took advantage of the fact that if you buy a pre-owned game at GameStop, you could return it within a week for a full refund. So they would buy the game, play it in a week, return it, buy the next one, play it, return it.
To be fair, I'm pretty sure you can get through Saints Row 3 in a week.
Yeah, probably.
Yeah, he did. Yeah, that's what they would do. But I was like, but this is not appropriate for this 8-year-old child. He's like,
Totally.
yeah, he says no big deal.
By the way, if you want to chime in on the discussion, Final Encountercast on Skype, 810-207-1764. Pretty sure everyone out there has got a GameStop story, but did you work for them, or do you have a particularly scummy example of
your horror
the circle
stories.
of life? We want to hear from you. Final Encountercast on Skype, 810-207-1764. Let's go to our phone lines now and talk to Diamelos. Diamelos, thanks for calling, man.
No problem.
What's up?
So, I mean, I've worked retail too, so I actually sympathize with pretty much everything you guys have been talking about. But specifically with GameStop, the only thing I've been buying from them recently is DS games.
Yeah.
That's the only console I have anymore that's up to date.
It's not a console; it's a handheld.
Yeah, but you know what?
Handheld console.
You know what though? I feel you. I mean, I've been on my Pokemon kick now for a couple of months, and I definitely I've spent some money at GameStop recently.
It's more than a kick at that point. You're in a relationship with Pokemon.
Look, I just wanted to be able to play through all of the regions. That's pretty fair, right? Anyway, so but no, I mean that's legit. They do actually keep a pretty good stock of decent DS games. I got to give them that.
Oh, they definitely do.
But my biggest issue when it comes to how they price their used games is unless you're taking advantage of the 1-week trade back policy, it's not worth it in my mind. It's like, okay, I can pay $60 for a new game or $55 for the potentially damaged one.
Yeah.
Or in the case
at that level, $5 isn't a whole lot.
Yeah, or
right. But if you don't like it, however, you can return it for a full refund. Whereas if you open a new game, the only way to return it is to sell it. And if it's a new game, it's still sell for $40, but at least that way you're losing $20. So if you're not sure if you're going to like it or not, you buy the pre-owned because you can return it tomorrow.
Yes, but I've also, especially in the last 5 to 10 years, I've been a lot more, I guess, scrutinizing with the games that I've buy. I research them before I decide to get them anyway. So, and most of the time I'm going to get them on Steam nowadays anyway, but it's just, if it's a game I know I'm going to enjoy, there's no incentive to get the used version. Especially if I really enjoy it, I don't want to trade it back in case I want to play it again down the road.
Well, another big problem too, the story that I mentioned earlier about how Watch Dogs 2 was on sale for $30 new and the used one was still $54.99. The fact, it's completely breaking my brain. The fact aside that they would lie about the new one being in so that you had to buy the used one, why wouldn't you then just also put your used one on sale as well? That
at the same price.
That blows my mind. Or how about the fact that if you want to move used game as well, why not give customers some type of deal that if you buy a new game, you get a used game 25% off? Actually incentivize your customers to purchase and follow along with your circle of life thing instead of terrorizing your employees into doing it.
That's actually one of the things that they have done in the past that has gotten me to buy used games was their buy 2 get 1 free used game deal that they do sometimes.
But again, that's all used games.
Yes. Yeah.
It's like Nate said earlier that they technically don't have to sell new games, right? Because they can just send them back to the warehouse. They're actually not out any kind of profit whatsoever, right? But the fact that this story is blowing up, and I'm pretty sure that if you were to try to get a hold of GameStop, the answer that they give you about this whole circle of life thing is that GameStop is incentivizing employees. That's a bad one. Well, first of all, yeah, to keep people from buying new games and hardware, but. Oh, I can't find where it is now. But basically, if you ask them, they're like, oh, well, everything that we have is all about, incentivizing our employees to help the customers find the best deal they possibly can. Obviously, it's not.
Yeah, no. I mean, when you've got the newer game that's objectively priced cheaper, then you can't really make that argument. Can you?
That's actually, back when Skyrim was released during the holiday season, it was on sale for $40? At least 2 points during Steam's holiday season. And GameStop's still selling it for, their used version for $55. If they put the used version to match Steam's price for those days, they would have sold tons of them.
Yeah.
Yeah, they probably would have. And the thing is that's pure profit for them. So it's silly that they didn't. But
and by the way, I'd like to go ahead and extend a gigantic fuck you to GameStop for that whole you have a week to return a used game policy, because that creates infinite nightmares for me at my job where we don't have that policy, but customers are now used to it existing. I had a customer come in.
Really?
Oh, God. I had a customer come in and ask me, and I quote, "Hey, can I get your copy of Bubsy?"
No.
Oh, yeah.
No.
To which I replied,
when did this happen?
A week ago. This is why I was so pissed about it the other day.
Okay.
So I replied, and I quote, "Why?" And my boss did not think that was an effective sales technique.
It wasn't appropriate, huh?
As it turns out, it was an effective sales technique because he purchased it. So, oh well. Anyway, we're not done yet.
I'm missing the dilemma here.
Bubsy sucks. It's awful. It's a stupid game. Anyway,
continue with your story.
So they thought that they could buy it and return it.
Yeah, he comes back 4 days later wanting to return it and saying, "Hey, this game's terrible."
You
and I'm
don't
like,
say.
Oh, really? Is it? Is it awful? Is it maybe the worst game that was made on the Genesis? That could be. It's terrible. And then he got all mad because we wouldn't take it back. I'm like, thanks. Thank you for that, GameStop, for setting that expectation. Thank you to my boss for yelling at me. And thank you to you for being a fucking idiot.
That's not even just a game thing. That's just a general retail thing. Most of the customers are retarded anyway.
Yeah.
That's true. I miss, actually, the nice part about working at the record store that I did, because it was a record store. It was also sort of like a pawn shop, so we did also sell like a bunch of video games and stuff like that. Bongs and stuff, too, for some reason. Bongs and whippets.
Did you have a return policy where if you came back within a week, you'd get a full refund?
We had people
who sold whippets?
Hold up. Yeah. No, they still sell whippets, crackers, and balloons over there. But I'm saying, like, we had people that would buy boxes of whippets and try to return it. And you could just, the wonderful thing about working there is that you could just straight up laugh them out of the store. Like, you could just,
privately owned store?
Yeah, it was a privately owned store. And the guy who owned it kind of didn't give a fuck. He was, kind of old and senile, but also didn't give a fuck. And,
those two traits go together very well.
I actually found out the other day that he died.
Aww.
I found out last week that he died. No, don't aw. He was a crazy racist piece of shit.
Oh, okay.
That is probably in hell right now. So I don't feel bad at all. But you had a good
time working for him, didn't you?
I had a great time working for him.
Well, at least cherish those memories.
As best you can.
Oh man, Frank was a
That's
weird...
such a racist name too.
Oh my! He talked like this, like he was from Brooklyn. And he always used to,
all the Franks that I know are assholes.
I actually found
unapologetically.
I actually found out that his son's trying to sell the store now too.
Buy it.
No.
Oh, okay.
No.
Okay.
If I did, that would be you
could be the new Frank.
No,
there must always be a Frank.
You know what that would make me? That would make me John Cusack's character from High Fidelity. I would be living that life. I don't need that.
You don't need that?
No, I don't need that.
I don't know. I think if I look at you just from where I sit, I see used record store owner.
Come on, I look more like Jack Black in that movie than I do fucking.
I was gonna say, yeah, if you were Cusack, maybe put a few cameras on you. Add 10, 20 pounds.
You're funny.
I know I am. Lol.
I got to the joke sooner than you. You can't try to make it after I took
Where was that whole story going anyway?
I took the wind out of your sails. I have no idea.
He's just like, look.
I have no clue. No idea where that story was going.
The second story that Kotaku put out with all the testimonials, I have to hand it to Kotaku because they weren't just all terrible testimonials, right? They actually snuck one in there where some guy was like, yeah, I can guarantee you that all of this stuff that you're talking about, these are edge cases at best, mixed in with like 50 testimonials about how terrible it is. And I just wanted to reiterate, okay, that it's possible, they're not edge cases, but it's possible there are some stores where management gets it, right? They totally get it. This whole circle of life thing is absolute bullshit, right? But the further up the chain you go, You start to get into those management positions of people who've never actually worked retail.
Oh, because they're drinking the fucking Kool-Aid.
And they're literally just looking at a number sheet, and all they care about is why isn't that number higher?
Oh my
that
God,
should be the
yes.
higher number.
Yep.
You do whatever you have to, and you know what they say: shit rolls downhill.
Dude, I've got the same problem at the place where I work. You've definitely got to follow the leader mentality, and you've also got a huge emphasis on data-driven results. And the thing is like, I just don't think that broadcasting can be solely data driven. Like if you're broadcasting to a number on a page, I don't think that it ever comes across as genuine, and an audience is able to sniff that out really, really quickly. Like you've got to have some soul in there. Like you've got to have some heart behind it to be and when you put restrictions, so many restrictions and arbitrary restrictions on broadcasters where they feel like they can't break a mold or they can't express an opinion, then that's where you get extremely insular, boring radio.
Oh, gosh. And no one wants to listen to that. And I can feel for that. The struggle that we've been having during like July and February, nobody comes into our store. We're in an outdoor mall, okay?
Yeah.
Especially when you have inclement weather, nobody wants to shop in that. So when we have 4 people that walk through the door, and maybe 2 of them buy because the first one was just looking and the other guy, we didn't have what he wants. The next day, you're getting an email wondering, how come you didn't sell more stuff?
Yeah.
Because the people aren't actually coming through the door. That's not a valid excuse to them.
Oh, no.
There are people coming through the door. You're just not utilizing them properly.
Really?
enough.
That's interesting. Let's look at the security camera footage, shall
We don't
we?
have security cameras.
Well, which GameStop was that?
It's not GameStop. It's a Levi's store. You want some jeans?
It's like you say, it's people who have they started off as employees there. They've come up through GameStop. They only know like the GameStop way, and they look at it like, this is the way all retail is run. But I do agree that there's probably an element of some of these being a lot more fringe cases. When Kotaku puts out a call for, hey, what are your GameStop stories? Anyone whose story was like, it was all right, they're not sending in that story of it was all right. But anyone who's like, oh, do I have a story for you?
Yeah, but like that's the thing though, is that like if you want to just talk anecdotally, in the room, 2 out of the 4, 50% of the hosts here have that fucking story, can confirm that that's the kind of bullshit that goes on.
Plus, it's not even GameStop. Like, that is a mentality that is in all of retail.
You're right.
Even though I didn't
you're right.
work at GameStop, I like where I work. I have a great staff. Management is super nice.
But you recognize all of this shit.
Even our upper management is pretty cool. Like, we're one of the lucky ones, and I can still see that behavior.
Right, but GameStop has a different level of bullshit just because of their pre-owned stuff.
No, they do,
So
absolutely.
you can't buy and resell blue jeans in that same store. I mean, granted, you could at Goodwill or something, but it's a little bit different.
Oh, no, I agree.
But, I mean, do you guys remember the Xenoblade Chronicles scandal a few years back?
No.
Where,
I was actually...
Xenoblade Chronicles is a fantastic game for the Wii, but it was only exclusive to GameStop.
Right.
So after, it came out, everybody bought it and everybody loved it, but then it stopped printing and nobody could find it anymore. So obviously the pre-owned prices were going to be huge, right? So then what happened is for like a Black Friday or something like that, they did a limited run of the game again. And of course, because it was Black Friday, it was like $40, whereas the pre-owned, because they were so hard to find, was like $70.
So
higher than the original retail price.
So
what
they
they
opened
did
them
is
all
they
up.
opened the cases, marked them as used, and sold them as used.
Oh my god.
Oh, that's so dirty.
That is shitty.
Wow.
Yep.
That's so shitty.
Even though they're still making less money because they paid the new price for it, either way, they're still making more bank overall because they're pricing it higher than the original retail price when it was on sale.
I saw that happen too. I saw that happen on a number of occasions where they would take new games, open them, take the wrappers off, and sell them as used.
See, we actually did that sometimes when it wasn't so skeevy, whereas like literally we had the new games and they just weren't selling, and then the warehouse didn't want it back. So we would just mark them as used, so they're more likely to get picked up in a sale or something from someone.
Yeah, it wasn't.
We
wasn't
did
like
end up
that.
doing that sometimes.
I'm actually reminded of a story of one of my coworkers who used to work at GameStop. They were having a midnight release event, and people were showing up super, super early, right? And they were starting to cause a commotion and stuff. So the manager was like, you know what? Just sell them. Just start selling the games. And he's like, no, we can't do that till midnight. That's illegal. I'm not going to do it.
Right.
if you
break
want
street date is what he's talking about. Yeah.
If you want to keep your job, then you're going to sell them. So, okay, he did. Regional manager found out about it. Guess who lost their job?
He did.
No.
He did.
Wow.
Yep.
Is there, by the way, all of us have worked retail at some point. Is there a more hated word than area, branch, regional manager?
Oh my God.
Any like it's always like you hear like, oh, guess what? The area manager's coming to town next week, and you're like, cool. I'm
Same with any job though. When they say, oh, the superintendent of the school's coming into town, we're like, oh shit, make sure like nothing's outside in the hallway, nothing, whatever. Like, it's a big deal. Any job.
I know. It's just is there a worse feeling that when you go in and you find out your area manager's coming like in the next week, and you're like, well, I don't feel too good. I'm gonna go to the hospital for a week. See you later,
dude. Retail is the worst environment. I hate working retail. Yeah. If there's anything, like, I will put up with broadcasting's bullshit till the end of time, just so I don't ever have to work another retail
I actually
job.
pity you guys more, because working at GameStop, or I'm sure working where you are, you guys probably have what's it called? We don't even have
rewards cards?
No, well, first of all, rewards cards.
That one sucks.
We don't have any kind of like rewards card like special Levi's card or anything like that. Commission. Do you work on commission?
No.
Hell no.
GameStop was not on commission.
Oh, it wasn't. Oh, see, for some reason I always thought the GameStop was commission. Yeah, we don't work on commission either, so we don't really keep track of individual statistics or any of that bullshit like that.
Yeah, nothing
when
that we
I
sell is
worked
worth
at,
enough.
I used to work at Gymboree, which is a kids' clothing store, and we didn't make commission for the clothes, but we would get commission if we got someone to sign up for our credit card.
Really?
Yep, we would make an extra $3 or $5 for every person we got to sign up for the credit card, not the rewards card, the credit card.
That actually surprises me, because I feel like most places that's just something you have to do, and they're not going to give you anything special for.
Yeah.
When I worked at Walgreens, we always had like a monthly thing that we had to sell, like a candy bar or something at the register, and that we got paid like a penny for each one we sold.
Oh wow!
Yeah,
at both jobs that I've had to do rewards card sales, membership sales, and stuff like that. And yeah, those are the kinds of things where it's like, okay, this is kind of expensive, and if I don't sell enough of them, I don't get to work front register anymore. It's like, what is this mess?
It is, and the thing is that you always feel like you're bothering people with that shit.
Yes.
I hate being asked about it. I bristle. I'm like, stop asking me. No,
yes.
I don't have one, and I don't fucking want one, because it's a scam. They're all scams. At the end of the day, yeah, you get a little bit of value out of them, but it's a scam. Especially the ones that you got to pay for, like the power-up rewards.
I'll do you one better. Mine at my store that I work at, as far as rewards cards go, it's fine. It actually is. Like, it doesn't cost anything. You barely have to give any information at all, and all it does is it accumulates you points that you can spend. There's really nothing like wrong with it. It's a pain in the ass, because I have people come in and like, oh yeah, I just drove in from Howell, Michigan. Yeah. And I get in trouble if I don't ask him if he wants a rewards card. I'm like, he's never coming back here. He lives hours away from us.
Yeah. And so I always give, whenever I go into GameStop and they always ask me, I always give them this pitied look, like, I know you have to ask. But
well, I mean, I still keep mine up to date, because granted, you do get more points for even buying new games. You get more points if you have the paid rewards card. So at least every so often I can get a $5 or $10 coupon with my points. So I keep mine up to date.
But I buy digital wherever and whenever I can.
Yeah, I mean, and I understand that. I don't like having too much digital, especially like, I mean, maybe now that PS4 can have an external hard drive, that'd be nice. But I don't like to just cram on my hard drive and then to a point where like I have to uninstall games and blah, blah, blah.
Yeah, but I do.
And because I loved working at GameStop, I'm pretty loyal to them, unless stupid Square-Enix does but the collector's edition are only on our store. And then I do that. But otherwise, I still go to GameStop. But only that GameStop, no other GameStop.
I do enough Vita remote play on my PS4 that swapping discs out becomes problematic. Like, you've got to think. Fair. You've got to like think about before you leave. Like, what do I want to play today? What disc do I want to have in there?
And make sure that it's in there.
Well, it's nice to have options, though. It's nice to fill up that hard drive with stuff.
I get that. Yeah. I still like having being able to look over and see like my stack of games slowly getting higher and higher.
Fucking hipster.
And having them.
Hipsters said the same thing about music for a long time.
I know, it's just like
I don't buy MP3s.
Of all the people that call me a hipster, as I see all your vinyl over there on the bookcase that's bending. look at the shelves. They're actually like bowing down.
I'm still at the whole. I buy physical books. I don't really like ebooks.
Look,
ebooks suck.
We can smell our own. That's all I'm saying. Okay, all right.
But Nika, I'm kind of with you a little bit. The GameStop that I go to, all the people there are super, super friendly and like really, really cool. But then after something like this,
I don't have
comes
that problem.
out,
They're all
like,
assholes.
There you go. Yeah, I want to be able to help support them because I know like what they must be feeling. But I know that when I go in there, it's a new game that I'm gonna want to buy. So am I really helping them?
And that's kind of it. Like,
well, that's why I still try to do my pre-orders there because I know, like, I went through the struggle. I know how it is. So, like, when I can, I will pre-order games there. But I like to go in there and talk to people when it's slow. And even one time, I actually got someone to check out our podcast because I was talking to the employee. And
but you're a girl, Nika. You don't play video games. They're not going to take you seriously.
No, but they do.
I'm kidding.
I mean, it's like at my GameStop. There's
it's
one
cute
guy,
that you think that they do.
There's one.
I mean, I have plenty of stories from working there where I know that they didn't. Like how many people would question my gaming knowledge, and I would smack them in the face with my knowledge, and they'd be like, "Oh, okay, never mind."
What did you say you smacked them with?
My gaming knowledge.
Oh, okay.
Smacked him with her gaming dick.
All right, I was just checking.
That too.
No, the GameStop near me, I have one guy who has worked there for like 10 years. And I remember like what he used to look like. And I know like, and I see like the soulless husk of a man that's left. And I feel super bad. So because he's always been like the nicest guy who
See,
like.
that's the thing. I don't think you can work at my GameStop for 10 years because the turnover, like the management turnover is forced.
Yeah.
And I just, because our numbers are so low, like it's ridiculous.
Man, what a great job.
I mean, like occasionally I'll see the same people I work in there, but like the last time I just went in to buy Tales of Berseria and I didn't recognize a single person working in there. I'm like, oh, they must have had another turnover.
The turnover at GameStops in general is pretty high. It's because they do hire a lot of like college age kids.
Yeah, they do a lot of seasonal stuff. But I mean, even with the managers and stuff though, like I used to try to go into GameStop because I loved the managers and I'd go in just to talk with them. But like the turnover there is so like it's forced from the management to try to see, oh, well, these managers aren't doing it. Let's see if these other managers can do it instead. And they rotate people around in it.
That's so brainless. Like turnover is incredibly expensive.
Oh yeah.
You have to retrain people. And
But that's the thing though, is that
never have to give raises this way.
There's almost
that's true.
But there's almost no company and almost no industry that bothers to invest in workers that are under 40. Period. And I mean, like, again, I'm fighting against that right now with having the hour reduction. It's like, dude, I'm 33 years old. How do you expect me to work on 20 hours, or how do you expect me to live on 20 hours a week?
Well, good news. In 7 years, they'll start investing in you.
But that's, you know what I mean, though?
Yeah.
Like, if I don't have the ability to push back, if I don't have the ability to kind of like, try to haggle here to try to, like, get what I need, get my needs met, then I got to go somewhere where I can.
The only reason that I got into management where I worked was because the supervisor before me died of cancer.
Oh no.
Jeez.
Dark.
Yep.
Well,
yep. They're like, since we're not sure if she's coming back, because before she died, she obviously, stepped down because of the cancer. And so, during that period, they're like, until we know if she's coming back, you want to, like, go in temporarily. And I'm like, yeah, sure, pay increase, more hours.
Right.
And then, she kicked the bucket. And it was like, you interested in this permanently? And I'm like, yep.
Sure that's sad.
Yeah. So the only way that I was, besides obviously I stepped down for this that we're doing, but if I would have wanted to go even further, somebody else is going to have to die.
By the way, thanks, Diamolos, for the call. If you wanted to call and voice some of your... We're doing an airing of grievances.
Horror stories.
Against GameStop today. 810-207-1764. Final Encountercast on Skype. Let us know about some of your GameStop horror stories or some of the... I mean, maybe you worked there. Maybe you work there just like Nika and I did, and you want to share a story of working there and some of the expectations on you as an employee. Final Encountercast on Skype, 810-207-1764. We'd love to hear from you today. But, I don't think, GameStop definitely has never had the best sentiment surrounding it. Like, I don't think in the gaming community... I mean, you'd have to go back pretty far in that company's history. Maybe to Funko Land. Maybe when it was called Funko Land.
You know who never did me wrong? You guys ever been to a Jelly Bean store? Do you guys know jelly beans?
God, that sounds so familiar, but I can't.
I don't even know if it exists outside of Michigan, but I know that there's 2, maybe 3 locations, but I used to go there for my used games. They had everything from books to CDs, DVDs, movies, cassettes. When I was still buying like PlayStation 2 games, they still had like Nintendo and like Sega games and stuff. They had everything. It was in like this really shady, like, there was like an apartment above it, right? So they just like came down. When you walked in, it wasn't even really a store. It looked like, oh, this was probably a living room at some point, and they turned it into a store. They had great prices. They had really good games there. Well, like, I used
to go to Funko-Land. I remember that.
Yeah,
I remember Funko-Land.
I definitely went to Funko-Land. But it's kind of interesting that GameStop's business model really does provide the space for these mom-and-pop hobby shops that also have a used games either section, or maybe that's even the primary business model. There's one that just opened up in Ferndale called Game On. They have a very successful location that's like right in downtown Ann Arbor. And they've got a very similar model, but their exchange rate is a little bit more equitable. And that's one of their selling points. They go, man, are you getting tired of getting your ass reamed by, like, are you tired of the rim jobs, the shitty rim jobs that GameStop gives you when you go in there and exchange your games? Well, we don't give you a shitty rim job. We'll actually give you a proper, rusty trombone when you come in. Like, we'll make sure that you jizz when you come in. Like, that's at least the bare minimum, right? Like, if you're gonna tongue someone's asshole, at least make sure that there's a happy ending at the end. I mean, and that's the thing, is like, that's the low bar that we're at right now in terms of used video game markets. It's like, do I want to just get, out of convenience, do I just want to get my asshole rimmed, or do I want to go full service and get the rusty trombone? I mean, I think that it does provide a market for these mom and pop shops to offer an alternative.
All right, I think I'm gonna regret asking this, but that's a term I've not. Never mind, I just got it. I know what rusty trombone is.
Rusty trombone?
It just occurred to me
on.
what it is.
You had to ask?
I did, until I started
Use
thinking
your
about how
imagination.
You put your lips on the balloon knot, and then you go to town. I mean, come on.
The front.
Yeah, there you go.
I got it. Yeah, okay.
Yeah.
It took a minute.
Yeah. There you go. You all right?
I'm good, yeah.
This is why you get snuffed in the fan fictions.
But seriously, though, I mean, like, it does provide a sort of secondary market for these independent shops to be able to exist and provide an alternative to what GameStop does, which is very clearly, and anyone can tell, you don't even have to have a passing knowledge of what games are worth to know that you're not getting the value that you should be out of those trade-ins. Period. So, I mean, I really like the mom and pop shops. Like, I like the smaller shops.
Yeah, there was a really great one up at Mount Pleasant, Game Traders. They had like a constant sale that was going, or a constant deal going on where you buy 4, you get the 5th one for free.
Yep. I remember when that opened.
Yep. I also remember going in there once trying to get a job application, and the chick behind the counter was like, "You don't really meet the criteria." And I'm like, "What's that mean?" And she's like, "The dude only hires chicks." I'm like, "Oh."
What?
Okay.
Oh.
Thanks for being honest.
I mean, that's one thing I will say that was good about GameStop. I feel like they were pretty discriminatory in hiring men or women. Like, there are some times that I've seen a majority women, and there's sometimes I've seen majority men. It just depends on who applies.
I feel like. Do you know who the store manager of each of those positions were? Because I'm pretty sure the one in Flint that I go to, the store manager is a dude, and it's like all hot chicks.
Look, it's not a dumb way. It's not a dumb way to staff your store. Where I go to buy weed, it is just filled with hot chicks. Like, it's just only the bud tenders are only like, there's hot chicks, and then there's like 2 dudes who work there. One guy looks like he would be out of LMFAO, and the other guy looks like he sang for Blink-182 for like 4 years. You know what I mean? Like,
that's unfortunate.
No, but I mean, like, they're sort of like the male end of like the hot chick. You know what I mean? Like, they've got their own sort of like party time appeal, and all the hot chicks are like, they've got like nose piercings and tattoos, and like they're
hot chicks.
You got your 2 hot dudes to appeal to the gay guys who come in, and the rest of them are hot chicks.
Yeah, well, I mean, there are women that come into
But these chicks are so hot that the women are like, oh wow, okay.
Well, you gotta have eye candy for the women when they come in. So, I have to believe that all of the people who work there are just fucking each other constantly. And
just one big orgy anytime you're not there.
Absolutely, yeah. Like there's just like hand jobs going on in the back, and like
Nate jumps and he's like, "Is there a hand job happening? Hand check? No. Did I miss the orgy?
Damn it!
Next time
again.
Always like 5 minutes off. Damn it!
I told you guys to text me next time.
Let's go back to our phone lines. Orpheus is hanging on. Let's talk to Orpheus. What's going on, man? Thanks for calling Final Encountercast.
Hey, how's everybody doing today?
Fine. We're talking about hand jobs and rim jobs and GameStop for some reason. I don't know what the third one has to do with the other two. But anyway, what's up, dude?
It's going good. I think that probably has to do with the fact that GameStop tends to fuck a lot of people over depending on where you're from.
Yeah, when you tend to think of butt fucking, I think GameStop is among the,
top 5 at least.
Yeah, at least. Especially when you put in the caveat of like no lube raw butt fucking, then you're really like they move up at least 2 notches from there.
Who else is up there?
So I just wanted to chime in real quick. While I don't have any experience working at a GameStop, I am sympathetic to the poor souls who have to endure a work day at that kind of establishment. So I wanted to see any stories where it's like you had that one saving grace of a customer, like maybe he'd like I know a lot of the people that I know, some friends of mine that work at a GameStop near me. I'm always bringing in food whenever there's a midnight release.
That's a very kind. That's a kind thing for you to do, and I'm going to encourage you to keep doing that because those poor motherfuckers have been there for a long, long time, and all they want to do is go home. They just want to give you your game and go the fuck home. But that's a really nice thing to do, Orpheus. I don't think I had any saving grace customers. I did have customers that when they walked in, I'd go,
boob.
Yeah, you would go boob.
Oh, great timing.
Thank you.
Actually, the donation was boob.
Yeah, the donation is boob too. $80 and
like $80.
Yeah, that's great.
Damn,
that's great. I love that,
man.
So I had customers that when they would come in, I'd go, oh fuck, not this guy.
Oh yeah, I've got one of those ones.
And the people who would sit there and like they thought that you had unlimited time to talk to them about games, that they thought that this was also a social hour, and you're like, bro, I'm vacuuming the store. Can you like leave, please? Like,
see, I do that though. Like whenever the GameStop is slow, I used to, especially like a little bit after I stopped working there, and there was like some new people, I'd walk in purposefully, like on my break.
But you can gauge
just
it
to talk to people.
You can.
I wouldn't walk in during busy hours or during closing hours.
You can get See, Nika, exactly. You can gauge it. You can go in there and you can see like the line at the register and go, okay, this is probably not a good moment. But for some reason, and I don't know why, there are some people who walk in and they're perfectly fine outside of the context of being in a GameStop store. But you get them within like 10 feet of a GameStop counter and their autism just kicks in and their Captain Linger, they don't know when to go the fuck away.
If they really do have autism, they wouldn't understand. They really would not.
But they transition.
That's why I caveated with like outside of the store, they're perfectly fine, but 10 feet away, their fucking autism kicks in.
When I went in when I bought The Last Guardian, right? Bought it from Myers, and this dude there, like you could just tell looking at him, like I knew what kind of guy he was. Fits right into what you're talking about, right? So we come over, I'm just like, all right, that's the game that I want. He opens it up, and then he's just sitting there holding it. Doesn't even take it back to the counter, and just starts like talking to me about the game, and you can tell he has no idea what he's talking about. He's never touched this game. It was, on release day, right? And it's just like, dude, all right, come on, let's move it along, blah, 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 blah. I just realized, you mentioning this, when I bought Uncharted yesterday, I had to do some grocery shopping, was being an adult. I'm like, this is too much adulting for me. I need to get something for myself.
Sure, yeah.
The Uncharted collection was on sale for like $17.
Good. Oh, man, that's a good deal.
Right? So I'm like, I'll get the Uncharted one, and I didn't realize until now, but it was that same dude. And he pulls out, he's like, oh, wow, that's really good. I mean, he's sitting here looking over, he's like, I mean, it's basically just, it looks like they just reskinned the games. I'm like, what?
Just give me my fucking... game and let me walk out of the store.
It's remastered. Yes, that's right. It is. Dude, do I have to pay for this here, or can I do it up front because I have milk that's about to curdle? And it's just, oh my god, this.
For me, the saving grace customer is the customer who walks in, knows what he wants, gets it, brings it to the counter, pays for it, and leaves.
Yeah.
I had a guy come in one time and he had just bought a board game. It was like Machi Koro or something like that. And he points to the game and was like, "Do you mind if I set this up? Like, can I play with friends?" I'm like, "Yeah, that's fine. That's what it's there for." So he goes back into the game room. And his friends apparently did not show up.
Aww.
Yeah, it was sad. Anyway, while he's doing that, I get a stack of comics that I have to go put out on the rack. So I go out there and start putting the comic books out, putting it out. I come back to my cash register, my drawer, and he has set the board game up at our front desk.
Oh no!
Right next to me, and is expecting me to play with him.
No!
And I'm like,
buddy.
No.
No. That's not how this
absolutely
works.
not.
Orpheus, here's the thing. I didn't have any customers that were like saving grace customers, but I will tell you that some of the girlfriends of the people that I worked with, like some of the girlfriends of my coworkers who would do stuff like that, who would like bake cookies and bring them in, or like, like if you were doing a midnight release, they'd go over to the food court, get you something,
Yes.
stuff like that. Like there were folks like that, but they had some kind of direct connection to someone who worked there. I didn't have like a rando do that for me.
Isn't it really sad that when we think of saving grace customers, the cool customers are the one who just come in and buy something? Like, that's how bad it is, that when someone just comes in and buys what they want and leaves, you're like, oh, thank you.
Although,
thank you so much.
Hang on, though. I have been on the other side of this too, where someone had come in once with, I swear to God, it was like a Final Fantasy XIV shirt on, and I got worked up. I got excited. I did the thing that all
you contracted autism.
I did, but like,
yell for no.
But that's the thing, though, is like, yeah, you kind of worked up that, and like they didn't meet my level of enthusiasm, and I was so. They walked away. I was so disappointed. It was so awkward.
Listen to my podcast.
It was, yeah, that's kind of what it was.
I had that happen one time with customers who I thought were talking about Final Fantasy 14 because they were mentioning like what sounded like server names. And they were just talking about Final Fantasy 9 as it turned out, but I got super excited to walk over and talk to them about Final Fantasy 14, and then they're just talking about 9. I'm like, oh yeah, I love 9 too.
At least you can transition into that. Like, imagine if it had been like, oh yeah, you're talking about Siren, and they're like, yeah, we're talking about Greek mythology, and you're like, oh,
yeah, she was cool. I heard some sailors died.
We were
telling
stories from Gilgamesh, and it's, God damn it. Like, how, if you hear Gilgamesh, you automatically, you don't think of the fucking book or whatever.
Oh,
you know
yeah.
what I mean?
It looks like you need to clear something up from chat. Grindy McGrindy says Aniro isn't already autistic.
No, I'm not. At least not that I know of.
He's not.
Not that I know of.
Not that has been proven anywhere.
Yeah. And not a medical diagnosis that I've had.
He's not officially on the spectrum.
Although, yeah. Although we will talk about a medical diagnosis that I do have. But we're going to talk.
That surprised a lot of people.
We're going to talk about that on Limit Break Radio, though, because I think we're out of time. By the way, thank you, Orpheus, for the call. We appreciate it. If there was one more person who wanted to call in, we'll make time for one more call. But let's go ahead and take this email from, I believe it's Emily who sent this in. So who wants to read that? Callie,
go ahead, Callie.
Go ahead.
All right.
There's a lot of data in this email.
Oh wow, I'll say there's. Hey guys, not necessarily an email worth being read on the air. Oh, great.
Reached on the air.
But just thought I'd give you some more info on a topic you discussed. Listening to episode 50, I understand that you were wondering how is the mobile division of Square performing and what it brings to the table. I usually try to read the yearly financial report for Square. Being a game developer, I find it really interesting, and they give some numbers and graphs that could probably help. So here's the graph for the MMO branch. It's a graph.
What does the graph say?
Are you kidding me with this?
Interpret it.
It says they make money. I don't know. Final Fantasy XI is a really low one all the way up until mid-2015. Dude, do they explain what these mean? Of course, the sheer number of games can explain the gap, but it is still interesting to acknowledge that these games are performing well overall. Good. That's what the graphs say. The games are performing well overall.
The mobile games are performing well overall.
That's correct.
Very
yes.
well. Very
the mobile division is, its trend is pretty much straight up If you take a look, you can notice how their console and PC games are more and more oriented towards the Western audience, while the mobile games are clearly made to attract a more traditional Japanese audience. The last graph I wanted to add is the breakdown of sales of digital amusement split by territories.
I would just like to say, emailer, that you are assuming a lot about our intelligence right now.
Yeah, seriously,
Boy,
you got to
sure are.
interpret the data. God damn.
TLDR it for us.
Yeah, note how well Japan is falling while the West doubles. You can also get an idea of how well download sales of full-length games are doing from it, aka apparently 50% of it in the West. So it sounds like more in America it's growing. Anyways, I hope you will find this interesting and maybe help you understand the current trends in the market. Cheers, Emily, who is a mobile game designer. Emily, you should call in and explain this shit to us.
Yeah,
please. I would actually be very interested to understand this, but on the spot, looking at these graphs, I don't really know what they mean.
Well, you see a couple of bumps there, and the graph goes from 2013 all the way to through 2017.
Yeah,
and I think that this has, of course, some projected data in there as well. So we see a couple of spikes when it comes to, and I believe that this is all of their MMO properties. That this is a line graph of.
Yep.
So you've got a bit of a spike there from FF11.
Seekers of Adoulin.
I believe that was Seekers of Adoulin.
Yep.
And because right after that you've got August 2013, which is A Realm Reborn. We see another big spike. And by the way, look at how low that graph got in between Adoulin and the FF14 relaunch, because we see it kind of plateau off and actually go up a little bit, and then it spikes again in between the financial year of 2015-2016, and I'm gonna say that that's probably Heaven's Ward,
launch.
So you've got three big spikes surrounding three big MMO releases right there. But I think the important piece of data on that is the fall off that happens after the release. That fall off is pretty deep. And you look at the fall off between, because Heaven's Word looks like it had a great release, but the fall off, we went back to Realm Reborn numbers.
Well,
not pre. We went back to Realm Reborn numbers in between 2.0 and 3.0.
Which is something that we say on Limit Break Radio all the time. That's your core audience being retained right there, and that's who you should be focusing on.
Meanwhile, where you go and you take a look at the mobile games,
wow, that graph's doing great.
That's a very well performing graph. It is upward. There's no spikes there. There are spikes, but they generally tend to stay.
Yeah, they fall off for just like a second, then they pop right back
up. And that's
now,
very healthy growth.
Now, there's a lot of differences in titles. You've got FF11, Dragon Quest X, and A Realm Reborn that are pretty much floating the MMO chart. And then on the mobile chart, you've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 different titles that are floating that popularity. So I don't know that they're entirely comparable because A, MMOs are a much larger development effort, and B, that you're going to have to keep having that turnover to be able to stay relevant and to keep that growth available in the mobile market. Now, I also see a couple of different Dragon Quest games in there. There's Record Keeper in there. Brave Exvius is on there as well. Mobius. Yeah. So, they definitely, these are the projects that have been driving that popularity. But it seems like every time they add a new title, it just keeps kind of compounding the data. So I think that there's a little bit of a data skew there, and it's not going to be exactly one-to-one comparable between each other. But it is very interesting to see, just in terms of raw growth, what we're talking about for the mobile division.
Yeah, and keep in mind, too, that mobile graph down at the bottom, that's running on a higher scale of billions of yen. The MMO one caps out at 14 million. The mobile one's capping out at 25 million. So it really is doing really well.
You're talking about wider margins at that point too.
Yeah.
So those are all factors that do need to be considered, and I totally understand that consideration. But I just I'm still very, very skeptical of the
The mobile market.
The mobile market.
Yeah, I'd
overall.
be interested to see individually how those games are doing now, because I think basically what it is every time a new game comes out, it spikes up again as people who probably trailed off of Record Keeper are now picking up Mobius or Exvius, whereas we know with the MMOs that people are still playing, not FF11, but a Realm Reborn. Like you said, it goes back to like pre-Realm Reborn numbers. We know that those people are probably still playing that game, whereas with the mobile market, they're probably bunny hopping from game to game.
Yeah, and you know what? You're probably right. You're going to see much more of a long-term investment in a game like FF14 than you are going to see in Record Keeper. Do you still play Record Keeper at all?
I don't. I actually stopped quite a while ago.
Okay, so I mean, that's indicative right there. There is a built-in lifespan for these types of games, which I think comes down, I mean, that sort of compounds our criticism of Pokemon Go and the slow release that additional generations have seen to Pokemon Go. I don't think you're going to be able to see much of a re-injection of enthusiasm the second go-round.
Ironically, the thing that made me end up quitting Record Keeper was they were introducing a raid function where you could team up with other people, and I was just like, I'm not about that life.
That was the thing.
That was the thing, yeah. I'm like, I play this to play, by myself. It's just me when I have time, and now I have to do this if I want to have everything. Nope. Done. Dunsies.
Yeah, I hear you. Well, thank you, Emily, for the email. We appreciate it. If you want to email the show, finalencountercast@gmail.com. We'd love to hear from you. Sound off on anything that we've talked about today, including whether or not you were a GameStop employee or if you've had a bad experience with GameStop. We want to know. We'd love to know about your thoughts on the Circle of Life program or whatever else we talked about here today on the show. FinalEncounterCast.com for our live blog. Again, FinalEncounterCast@gmail.com to email the show. We want to thank our callers. Join us live here each and every single Sunday starting at 1 p.m. Twitch.tv/Limit Break Radio is our new home. Again, 1 p.m. starting on Sundays here, Twitch.tv/Limit Break Radio. If you haven't followed, hit that follow button. If you hang out every weekend, hit that sub button. And if you want to support the show, consider going on over to patreon.com/Limit Break Radio, tossing a couple of bucks in the hat. We give you some extra bonuses when you do, including Robbie's postcards from Eorzea. We'll talk about that.
One just went out.
We'll talk about that next, coming up on Limit Break Radio. Limit Break Radio ahead today at 4 p.m. on the channel. Make sure that you join us for that. Thanks, guys. I want to thank my crew, of course. I want to thank, of course, our crew, Kooky Persona, our producer, who put the majority of this show together. Thank you, Kooky, as well as my crew, Robbie. Fat's not here, so I don't have to thank him. Robbie, Callie, and Nika. My name's Nate. Have a good one. Final Encountercast is a production of FinalEncounterCast.com, Limit Break Radio, and Bender Media Productions. Today's episode was produced by Kooky Persona and Robbie Landis. This show is made possible by the generous Patreon donors of the podcast Limit Break Radio. Opening music provided by Keyboard Kid. For more info and music can be found at keyboardkid206.bandcamp.com. Closing music provided by Sobsy. For more info, visit sobsy.bandcamp.com. For links to articles mentioned on the show, visit our live blog at finalencountercast.com. Final Encountercast and its hosts are solely responsible for its content.